Hello there. Welcome to Now Tell Us. At Now Tell Us, we have conversations, we hear stories from our guests. They come to inspire us or educate us on a subject, and always we are having great guests with us. And that means even today, we have a great guest. His name is known as Michael Ringel. But I'm going to meet him soon, and we are going to meet him with you. But before we go there, let me remind you that if you need to watch our past episodes, you can always get them at Podmatch. Hey, and guess what? We are number 3 on the leaderboard. Oh, it's the other side. Number 3 on the leaderboard at Podmatch. And this is because you've supported us. You watch, it's because that guests come and give us some good insights. So we've climbed up. So go to now tell us at Podmatch and listen or get to sign up for other podcasts. Or if you're a podcaster, you can get guests at Podmatch. And I won't take one more minute because we have a lot to cover with Michael. So if you're ready to hear from Michael, I'm ready. So let's go and meet Michael. Here we go. Hello, Michael.
Good afternoon, Anthony. How are you?
Afternoon. I'm good. How about you?
Good, thank you. It's a cold, wet, rainy day at the Jersey Shore,
Uh huh.
and so it's nice to be inside talking to you today.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for coming to my show.
Well, thanks for having me. Looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, it's great. And our screen kind of adjusted a bit. I don't know why. Can you check the settings whether you are on HD? Yeah, settings down. There's a settings wheel down there.
Ready? I am on what's standard. I'm on HD now.
Oh, that's wonderful. Let's believe that it's going. Yeah, it's improving. Okay, thank you
Perfect.
very much.
It made me better. It made me better looking, right?
Yeah, it's better now. It's better looking. You're looking good.
Thanks. So are you.
Yes. Is when things don't go right, we correct them, and
Sure.
when we have a business, we work up a business, we build it. But then it's interesting that I have you on my show when you are talking about getting out of the show, or in other words, getting out of your business, how to
Yeah.
exit your business. Isn't this interesting?
I think it's fascinating. I think it's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Me and maybe some of our viewers or listeners could be thinking of starting a business and
Mhm.
not how to exit, but is it the right thing to think about how to exit before I get started on my business?
Well, absolutely. In
Uh-huh.
fact, it should be thought of the second day that you're in business,
Wow.
right? The
Wow.
first day you should celebrate you've opened up your doors, and exit planning is part of strategic planning.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you want your business to look like? What's the purpose of your business,
Mm-hmm.
right? And for most people, it's to generate cash flow for themselves, for their family, by providing great customer service, whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And eventually, someday, when you start a business, we know with 100% certainty that you will leave your business someday,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's on your terms, somebody else's terms, or God's terms.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
So, yeah,
Uh-huh. And before we even go back deeper into that, let's know who is Michael. So because we need to know in which direction we are going. Yeah, who's Michael?
sure. Who am I? I am a
Yeah.
father of two beautiful daughters,
Mm-hmm.
aged 20 and 22. I am happily married and with with six dogs, all rescues. My wife and I work with rescues to rescue dogs and get them foster homes.
Oh, okay.
From a business experience, I'm a certified public accountant that doesn't practice accounting anymore publicly.
Mm,
I, as they say, I did my time, went back and got my MBA from NYU, and ever since have been working with entrepreneurs and business owners, helping and supporting them deal with a lot of the different issues and challenges that they face in running and operating a business.
hmm. And then you have a passion in talking about exiting a business. Why is that?
Because it's the realization of your life's work,
Okay.
right? So think about it. Most people go into a business, as I mentioned before, not just to generate cash flow for them and their family, but also to build something of equity, potentially be able to leave a legacy for their family,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not they have employees, providing for their employees cash flow for their families,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually, someday, being able to realize their life work, which is the value of their company.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really important to decide what type of company you have, what type of company you want to build. Are you building a lifestyle kind of company where you just are out as a sole proprietor, whether it might be a lawyer, a doctor, it could be a CPA, somebody who's providing value to people, but it's all based on what you produce,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then we need to think about, what does retirement look like for you? How much money are you pulling off your balance sheet to your
Mm-hmm.
personal balance sheet to save?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what does exiting look like for you? Are you building any equity or not? Some
Mm-hmm.
decide that they want to build a business and they need to hire employees. They need to bring on partners. They want to grow a larger company.
Mm.
Someday you're going to exit your business and you need to start thinking about it yesterday.
And how do we go about that?
Well, I don't know if you've read the book by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah, I've read it.
He, he says, start with the end in mind.
Okay.
So fast forward 5, 10, 15, 20 years and look back on the time period. So let's say you're looking to exit your business in the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward 10 years from now, December of, 2032, and stand in that place and look back on the last 10 years and think about and start planning what had to happen in the growth of your business, in the growth of you personally,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where you actually are able to leave your business someday. As I mentioned, everybody's going to leave one way or another with 100% certainty, and we don't get a second chance at this.
Mm-hmm.
It could be it probably is going to be the largest financial transaction of your life, and you need to make sure that the net proceeds of what the business that you sell are going to be able to provide enough cash flow for you for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to start strategically planning today, even though you may not leave the business tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start thinking about what it's going to start looking like so that 5, 10, 15 years, 20 years from now, when you do leave your business, you get the most value. You really have been able to realize the optimize your life's work.
Mm. Okay. And then you talk something to do with gap. What is gap?
So it's a great question. So one of the things that we do when we do financial and exit planning is,
Okay.
the first thing we start with a personal balance sheet. Like, what do you personally own, right? Whether it's your home, investments, retirement plans, what do you currently have on your balance sheet
Mm-hmm.
that could produce income for you when you retire? Because
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that business owners don't really recognize or don't understand is the day you transition and sell your business is the day your income stops,
Mm-hmm.
right? You've been getting a paycheck, maybe you're taking out distributions, and then you sell your business and there's no more cash flow.
Yeah.
So we have to then talk about how much cash flow do you need or want when you retire
Mm-hmm.
that's going to allow you to live the lifestyle that you want to live.
Mm-hmm.
Then the question is there a gap between how much you want and how much you currently have? And if
Mm-hmm.
there is, and what's going to fill the gap is the value of your business, what's the value of your business today?
Mm-hmm.
Most business owners don't know the value of their business. They
Mm-hmm.
know what's in their IRA, they know what's in their retirement plan. They can just go online and check. Here in the United States and probably around the world, we can go online and find out the approximate value of our house.
Mm-hmm.
But most people don't have a value. 98% of business owners do not know the value of their business.
Mm-hmm.
So, what we do with our clients is we get them the value of their business today. And we do it without interruption of their business. It's not expensive. It's using big data that's already out in the market to
Mm-hmm.
be able to say, here's what your business is worth today. And if you sold your business with that amount of money, less taxes, be able to provide, fill the gap between what you want and what you need.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not, then what we focus on is how do you add value? So if your business is worth $1 million, but you need to sell it for 3 million because
Mm-hmm.
you need that amount of money to live on the rest of your life, how do you add value to your business to get to that point?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we look at the gap when we work with entrepreneurs.
Oh, wonderful. And what are there different ways of exiting, or it's one idea for everyone?
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there are plenty of ways, right, to exit. First
Uh-huh.
and foremost, if you have a business partner, if you were running a family business, let's say you have children in your business, let's say you want to sell to employees. We call it selling to insiders. Well, there
Mm-hmm.
are ways to transition the business from you to those insiders. And when you do that, you need to take in consideration the tax ramifications of it. We find that there's a potential double taxation when you transfer to insiders if you don't do proper planning. But
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest problems is cash flow, right? Most employees and maybe even your business partner may not have the cash to be able to buy you out of your equity in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe banks won't even give them the money based upon their credit history. So therefore, one of the ways is, you would issue a note to them
Okay.
to purchase the business, and then they would pay with cash flow, future cash flow of the business.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't protect your investment, what happens if the business doesn't do very well? You're at risk because you're not going to be able to get the value of the business when you sold it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be careful there. You know, a business could transfer to an insider if one of the partners becomes sick and can't work anymore, or
Okay.
they die.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to make sure you have a very strong buy sell agreement that's fully funded, such that, Anthony, if you and I were business partners and something happened to me, the last thing you would want to do is be in partnership with my spouse because she's never run our business,
Yeah.
right? But yet she's still entitled to 50% of the profits
Mm-hmm.
unless you're able to buy my equity out.
Okay.
Now, if you don't have funding to do that, or there's no life insurance available, then that's going to be a big problem and a big cash flow drain on the business.
Mm-hmm.
So, what we need to do is we need to make sure that there's a properly structured buy sell agreement. We need to make sure that it's fully funded. Like, for example, also, what if I got sick and I couldn't work, but yet I'm still here? I'm still entitled to my half of the business,
Yeah.
and that would cause a lot of strain that on the business you're running that I'm not participating in. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the ways is you actually sell a transfer to an insider.
Okay.
Okay.
Ah.
An, Another. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. You are telling me us about the ways, the different ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another. Uh-huh.
So the other way is you can sell to an outsider.
Okay.
So somebody who comes along and says either you're ready to exit and you hire a broker and you go out there and proactively try to sell your business, or somebody sees your business and comes along and says, I want to buy your business.
Mm-hmm.
this year we had two clients who were what we call exit ready. And somebody came along and said, I want to buy your business. They weren't really looking to sell, but they offered them, well, basically, they may have an offer they couldn't refuse,
Mm-hmm.
and they bought the business.
Okay.
And if you want to sell to an outsider and the value is not high enough, then you have to start thinking of ways to drive value to the business in order to be able to sell it for more than it's currently worth today.
Mm-hmm.
Another way you could leave your business is you could die in your business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say you're a sole proprietor, right? And you have a business and you decided to build the business just for yourself to generate income.
Mm-hmm.
If you die, your cash flow dies, and the cash flow that your family probably was relying on to live the lifestyle that you want to live. So you need to make sure that your life is protected so that if something happened to you, the cash flow wouldn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the three ways that people could exit their business.
Okay. And let me ask, do you have some real life examples that you can tell us, some stories that you can share with us that shows us how to go about that?
Yeah, absolutely. About
Mm-hmm.
5 years ago, I started working with a client who had actually a web design business.
Okay.
And we started in this process. The first thing we did is we looked at what he currently owns personally. And then we looked at the business, and then we did evaluation. And for the last 2 years, we were focusing on transferring money from his business balance sheet to his personal balance sheet on a tax favored basis.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of nowhere, somebody came along and said that they wanted to buy his business. What we did was figured out what the value was.
Mm-hmm.
He actually had a business broker who went out and looked at other offers as well to understand what it was worth. And at the time, it was about $1.5 million.
Okay.
And we started doing some financial planning so that when he actually got his money, he knew exactly what he was doing with it and why. There was no uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
And here in the United States, you pay what is called capital gains tax. So you have to consider taxes,
Yeah.
trying to mitigate taxes if possible. And the planning that we did, he realized is when he got his money, he knew exactly where it was going. He knew exactly what he was investing in. And he knows that he's going to have enough cash flow for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Have
Mm-hmm.
another client, right, who unfortunately passed away early
Mm-hmm.
and really didn't take the necessary steps to do proper exit planning.
Okay.
And the value of his business when he died was zero.
Mm.
And the reason it was zero is
Mm-hmm.
is because number one, he had no life insurance on himself, so the family got no money for the business, and because it was a personal service business, there was no handoff relationship between him to another owner.
Okay.
So here's somebody who did all the right planning and somebody who didn't do all the right planning. And not doing the planning can have devastating consequences financially for you and your family.
Mm. Wow. Now, as you help the businesses and they are growing, do you always introduce this topic at the beginning?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. It's a conversation that people don't know that they need to have.
Yeah.
What we really focus on, if you take a look at the whole world of knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little sliver of the things that we know,
Yeah.
right? I know how to drive a car,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then there's a sliver of things that we don't know. We don't know. I know how to drive a car, but I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
A little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
change the oil, I rotate the tires, but I really don't know how it works.
Mm-hmm.
I could learn, but I don't want to learn. I just want to drive my car.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the big universe of the things we don't know, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we try to teach people, right? They don't know that they need to start thinking about the end of their business, not just the beginning. They don't know that they need to do cash flow planning throughout the entire process. They don't know that they need to protect their business. God forbid something happens to them or their employees or anybody else in the business. So we
Mm-hmm.
coach, we teach, and we educate people. And then what we do is we really focus on helping them discover for themselves their true purpose for money.
Mm-hmm.
And we inspire and coach and we educate them on the truths of investing. And then we design a plan accordingly. So yes, with every business owner, it's the number one thing that we talk about.
Wow. Because there are many people who, I mean, just as you're saying, I wouldn't have thought that I'm starting a business. And I know it's rare for people to think that. So having you as the advisor is a good thing. It's a good thing so that they put it in mind that one day it's going to be over. The business is going to close down. They're going to leave. They're going to sell it, or something is going to happen somewhere.
Yeah. Or it's going to live on beyond you and you have the management team in place,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're leaving a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've seen a business that in the financial services business where they've set it up properly, where the senior management is leaving, they're about to retire, and the
Mm-hmm.
middle management is coming up to take over the business. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it worked, and he's leaving a legacy of, that has an influence on hundreds, if not thousands, of people.
Yeah.
So it depends on the type of business you're building. It depends on your entrepreneurial path. But we do know with 100% certainty you will leave your business someday.
Mm.
So start thinking about it now.
Wow. This goes out to everyone who's listening out there, and you're thinking of starting a business, or maybe you are already in a business.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that we bring this conversation is to remind you that one day is going to be over, and it's important that you keep it in mind. And then you talk about protecting my business. Are
Yeah.
there ways that you suggest? I mean, what ways? I guess you're talking about insurance here, or maybe something more.
Well, insurance is just the financial tool that allows us to accomplish what we want to accomplish,
Okay.
right? So that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
So if our goal is to protect our income and to protect our income is to protect the business, then yes, life insurance is one of the tools. Disability insurance is one of the tools.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I was working with a law firm in the United States,
Okay.
three partners, and at the time everything was going great until it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And the partners did not have a buy-sell agreement. They didn't have an agreement among themselves of what would happen if one of the partners wants to leave,
Mm-hmm.
or one of the partners passed away or got sick.
Mm-hmm.
They happened to be working on it at the time, but they actually never signed the document.
Mm-hmm.
Well, during that process, one of the attorneys passed away. Now, thank goodness there was some life insurance on
Mm-hmm.
his life that went to the company, and then the company used that money to give to his spouse to buy his shares of the company back for the other two.
Mm-hmm.
If there wasn't, then that spouse was going to sue them for the value of what she thought the company was worth, even though she wasn't participating in the law firm.
Mm-hmm.
So you're correct. We use insurance as the financial tool
Yeah.
to be able to protect the business,
Ah, okay.
and that's how we use it.
Are there many times that you're called during a crisis that like that one? Like
Oh, sure.
because many people don't plan. So how many is it on the upper scale that you're often called to when there's a crisis to help the people maneuver?
That's a great question. My clients are coached and trained, and we've done the work. So when there
Mm-hmm.
is a crisis, we have those mechanisms already in place, right? To be able to, okay, if this happens, here's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Most people I meet in the beginning don't have any of that in place.
Okay.
So we have to, number one, educate them on what's possible,
Mm-hmm.
what could happen, and then here are the different strategies and philosophies in order to mitigate that. Like
Mm-hmm.
for example, you don't need to go out and buy life insurance. You don't need to go buy disability insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, here's the possibility of what could happen. So what we do is we come up, we do the planning, and then we give our clients choices.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as they understand the consequences of their choices, then we're okay. But most of the time, people don't come to us in a crisis. They come to us, they learn that they need to get this done, and they realize that they really need to execute it.
Mm. Oh, wonderful. Now,
Yeah,
we are listening to this podcast internationally, and I know that you've been working locally mostly.
sure.
Uh, but I guess the information that we are sharing here is universal.
Yes.
Um, do you work with clients from abroad, or you're just working with ones locally?
I work with mostly clients in the United States
Okay,
just because that's where I'm licensed to do business.
okay.
But you're correct. The education, the topic of today is universal,
Mm-hmm.
right? It doesn't matter where you own a business or, or what country you're in. Eventually, you're going to leave your business.
Mm-hmm.
The other way, which I didn't even talk about, is you could just close the door and walk away,
Okay.
right?
And
So
for
if
every
if people do that, if
yeah.
you've amassed enough money to be able to live the lifestyle that you want to live when you retire, you can just close the door and walk away if you choose to.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be able to move enough money and save enough money in order to do that.
Yeah.
So the principles are universal. Just personally, I work here in the United States.
Mm. Good to know. Now, tell us a few things, or one thing, or a few things that are the most important in this planning, because we are almost coming to the end of this episode.
Sure. No, I appreciate it. So one of the phrases I live by is something is worth what it can do for you, not the price you pay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So therefore, if we talked about strategy, right?
Yeah.
If the strategy could cost money and it could be expensive, but what are the alternatives?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to really take a look and weigh it out and make sure that you're actually implementing something that's going to have value for you. The other thing is that most business owners think their business is worth more than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's
Yeah.
it's your baby. You started it from scratch. You built it up to something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to you, it's worth a ton of money, but it's only worth what somebody's going to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a great example. I had a car here. It was a 2010 Volvo S80.
Okay.
Love this car. It was
Mm-hmm.
my favorite car. I owned it. I had it for 11 years. It had 215,000 miles on it. Now the air conditioning broke and the tires were going and it had mechanical issues, but I love this car. To me, the car was worth a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
To anybody else, it was worth zero.
Yeah.
So they nobody would. So my point being is that your business is worth what somebody's going to pay for it, not what you think it's worth.
Mm.
And most business owners significantly overvalue what their business is worth.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
Yeah,
It's having a perspective from the inside, not from the
exactly.
yeah. I get it.
Okay.
Wonderful. And thank you very much for sharing everything that you've shared with us. I believe we have viewers there who benefited from
Cool.
this thing that we have shared. And um, I know there are people in the United States who are listening and they may want to connect with you.
Mhm.
Yes, because we broadcast everywhere.
That's
So
great.
if people want to connect with you and maybe do business with you, how can they connect with you?
That's great. So my email address is Ringel at strategiesforwealth.com. My number is 212-701-7967.
Mhm.
Doesn't cost anything to have a consultation, doesn't cost anything to have a conversation. I love learning about people, their business, their purpose to help them achieve anything that they want to achieve in life. So
Mm.
thank you for having me. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you too. We really appreciate. And also, could you maybe share with us your website or something?
Sure. My website is mikeringel.com. MikeRingel.com. Great. You got it right there.
Okay, that's www.mikeringer.com. Go to his website and connect with him, and yeah, learn how to exit your business. So we really appreciate you, Michael. And
Thank,
before we go, we would like you to leave us with a few words that we should always remember. Those are always important for us. A few words that we should always remember,
few
whichever they
words,
are. Your
whatever they
favorite.
are.
What your favorite?
My favorite, become a foster family for foster dogs.
Wow.
There are dogs out there all across the country, all across the world that are homeless, that need a good, loving home. Open up your home to a dog for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. It'll change the relationship you have with your family. It'll change a dog's life, and then get it adopted. That's
Wow.
my public service announcement.
That's wonderful. Specifically dogs.
Specifically, well, cats too, but specifically dogs.
Okay.
Any animal.
Any animal. Well, you can say just any animal. Foster.
Open your home
Open.
to any animal that needs a home, and it'll have a huge impact on you and your family.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, that's about it. We really appreciate your time here, Michael. And we also appreciate all the viewers and the listeners. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Have a great day.
Yes, and this has been your host, Anthony Moirore. And together with our guest, Michael Ringer, was saying bye for now.
Bye for now.